Now, what time would your party start, let's say?
Like 9:30.
Really? That early?
Yeah.
I could make that.
Yeah.
But I could think of you of starting a party at like midnight. Like, what time will it go till?
That's a different type of party, though.
Uh-huh.
They just, you know, so you have, if you don't have what they need, they're gonna leave.
Right.
Gotta keep them there.
Right.
You need locks on the doors.
Okay, this is sounding kind of dangerous now.
What if I told you that while Diddy's explosive personal drama dominated headlines in the media, something much more sinister was unfolding behind the scenes? In today's video, we'll dive into the jaw-dropping 23andMe data breach that exposed millions, and how this DNA scandal was buried beneath Diddy's legal chaos. Stay tuned as we uncover how these two seemingly unrelated stories collide in a shocking cover-up that they didn't want you to notice. Me systems, gaining access to the raw genetic data of 6.9 million users. The data leak exposed sensitive health reports, family trees, and DNA profiles that users had submitted in good faith to the genetic testing company. For over 5 months, 23andMe remained unaware of the breach, allowing hackers to steal the data of millions of individuals, including over 1 million Ashkenazi Jews and more than 4 million people in the United Kingdom. Imagine having your entire genetic makeup, health predispositions, location, and even personal family relationships suddenly exposed to the world. This data, once in the wrong hands, can lead to identity theft, discrimination, or worse. As the scale of the breach became clear, it sparked public outrage and legal actions, with numerous lawsuits filed against 23andMe. To crack down concerns, the company implemented new security measures, such as requiring two-factor authentication for all accounts. But many users were left wondering, could 23andMe really be trusted with such critical data? As if the data breach wasn't enough, 23andMe was soon hit by internal leadership shakeup. In September 2024, the independent directors on 23andMe's board submitted their resignations, citing irreconcilable differences with CEO Anne Wojcicki over the future direction of the company. Now mind you, this was around the same time Diddy had finally been arrested. These resignations also came at a time when 23andMe was already facing challenges, including declining sales and a stock price that had fallen below $1 per share. With the company at risk of being delisted from the NASDAQ, Wojcicki proposed taking the company private. However, her proposal lacked sufficient financing, which led to a halt between her and the independent board members. The thing is, Wojcicki wields significant control over the company thanks to a dual-class share structure, giving her nearly 49% of the company's voting power. Wojcicki's leadership came under fire, with critics questioning whether she had done enough to protect user data. This level of control left the board with little influence in shaping the company's strategy, leading them to step down in protest. The board's departure has raised concerns about the company's future direction, especially as it faces a lot of legal challenges related to the data breach. Can 23andMe regain its footing without independent oversight, or is it headed for further trouble?
All of this Diddy commotion isn't what we should be focused on. Like, it's just a distraction. Right when Diddy got arrested, something massive went down with 23andMe, the DNA company. They have DNA samples from everyone who's curious about their ancestry, right? Now check this out. Right as this Diddy thing blows up, every single board member of 23andMe resigns simultaneously. Now you gotta wonder why. Fun fact, the CEO of 23andMe is married to the CEO of YouTube and Google. And the theory goes that these board members bailed because there are some unethical moves being planned at the company. They have all our data, man, even DNA data. On top of that, they have the Google search engine. They have every single piece of information about you, including your biochemistry. Now they're so smart. What's the future of commerce where they can sell you things that you have to pay for? what's one thing you'd spend all your money on? Because if you don't, it's over. Health, right? Now they know our DNA. They can pinpoint diseases, offer cures. And what's one of the big sells? Anti-aging. That's a huge red flag, man.
Both the Diddy headlines and the 23andMe breach are shocking in their own right, but the latter has much more lasting consequences. While Diddy's legal troubles might make for an exciting read, the reality of the 23andMe breach is far more troubling. For millions of people, this wasn't just a breach of privacy, it was an exposure of their deepest secrets, their health risks, and their family histories. Unlike a credit card that can be replaced, you can't change your DNA. And the fallout from this breach could follow people for the rest of their lives, potentially affecting their health insurance, employment prospects, and even personal relationships. The exposure of sensitive health data raises concerns about potential discrimination based on genetic predispositions to certain diseases or conditions. Could employers or insurance companies use this information against individuals? While there are laws like the Genetic Information Non-Discrimination Act, GINA, in the US, many fear that the leaked data could be used in ways that we can't yet fully comprehend. In addition to that, the breach data from 23andMe includes DNA relatives feature, which allows users to find and connect with distant family members. For some, this feature is a way to discover previously unknown relatives. But in the wrong hands, this information could be used for all sorts of evil purposes, including stalking, blackmail, or identity theft. Now, let's shift gears and talk about Diddy's headlines that seemingly eclipse the 23andMe controversy. Around the time the breach hit the internet, allegations about the rapper's romantic relationships, financial disputes, and high-profile legal issues began to take over social media feeds and entertainment news outlets. Therefore, while Diddy's love life and other personal controversies were splashed across the internet, only a few publications were digging deep into what 23andMe's breach meant for millions of users worldwide. Whether or not this was a calculated PR move, the timing of these stories raised eyebrows. The shift in media focus from a serious data breach to Diddy left many wondering if 23andMe was trying to downplay the seriousness of the breach by burying it under more salacious news. In today's media landscape, where attention spans are short and celebrity news dominates, this tactic may have succeeded in shifting the narrative for a time. A lesser-known fact of the 23andMe story is its deep connection to Silicon Valley's power players. CEO Anne Wojcicki was previously married to Sergey Brin, the co-founder of Google, and her sister Susan Wojcicki is the former CEO of YouTube. These connections led some to speculate that 23andMe had a special advantage in managing the media fallout, thanks to its close ties to Silicon Valley's tech giants. Some have raised concerns that these ties to Google could allow 23andMe to exert undue influence over the flow of information, controlling how the company's failures are portrayed in the media. While there's no concrete evidence to support these claims, it is clear that 23andMe operates within a network of powerful tech leaders who understand the art of controlling narratives. Could Diddy's controversies have been amplified to deflect attention away from 23andMe's failures?
It was hard for me being that young and being in the industry and not knowing where to turn, and everyone, telling me they love me and, just turn their back on you in a second.
Freak-offs, and he often electronically recorded them. The freak-offs sometimes lasted days at a time.
You're gonna hear about my party, they're gonna be shutting them down, they're gonna probably be arresting me, doing all types of crazy things just because we wanna have a good time.
Possible. As the Diddy headlines continued, 23andMe tried to downplay the severity of the data breach. Instead of owning up to their failure to protect user data, the company placed part of the blame on users for reusing passwords from other websites. While they did implement two-factor authentication in the aftermath, many feel that 23andMe hasn't taken full responsibility and should have done more to protect such sensitive information. In response to the breach, the company introduced new security protocols, including mandatory two-factor authentication for all users. However, the damage had already been done. The trust that users had placed in 23andMe was severely broken, and the company now faces multiple class action lawsuits. In an attempt to mitigate these legal challenges, 23andMe updated its terms of service to make it harder for users to join class action lawsuits, which many saw as an attempt to dodge accountability. As lawsuits against 23andMe pile up, the company faces a long road to regain trust. The 23andMe breach is not just a scandal, it's a wake-up call for the entire genetic testing industry. As companies like 23andMe collect ever more sensitive information, the stakes for securing that data grow higher. The breach has left millions of users questioning whether they can trust any company with their genetic information. Whether 23andMe can bounce back remains to be seen. What's clear is that the genetic testing industry, once seen as a gateway to self-discovery, is now facing an identity crisis of its own. At the end of the day, both the Diddy controversy and the 23andMe breach offer a look into how the media can be manipulated and how we as consumers are often distracted by the latest celebrity headlines. While Diddy's personal life may be entertaining, the true jaw-dropping story here is the one involving millions of people's genetic data being compromised and a company's leadership crumbling under the weight of that scandal. So, next time a celebrity controversy becomes inescapable in the news, take a second look. There might be a bigger story just beneath the surface.